So for transplanting, we use Winstrip trays. We like them for two reasons. One, because they're very durable. They're not like that crappy plastic ones that you can buy at Walmart and Home Depot. And two, for the air pruning. So if you look at the tray itself, it's like any other tray up top, but on the bottom and sides, there's differences where you have open strips where the plastic or the isn't there, as well as on the bottom. And this enables the root system to be air pruned. Not that it dies, it just, once the roots hit the air, it stops growing. And once the roots then touch dirt again, it will begin to start growing. So in this case, if the root systems come out here, it becomes air pruned and stops there instead of turning into the ball root system that you typically see with ones that don't have this. So in this case, when we transplant, the root system is ready to grow down into the dirt, establishing the root system instead of being tied up in the root in the ball system, which then takes a little more time for the roots to start growing in the right direction. But I found that the issue, at least I have found, maybe there's different ways of doing this, of making the soil for this is a bit of an issue, simply because there's holes at the bottom. So if I were to put my dry mix into here, or at least attempt to, it will eventually clog up, but you're going to see a lot of dirt fall at the bottom. And even though it might look like it's filled on top, on the bottom it might be half filled. So it might only clog itself halfway, so what looks good on top does not look so good on the bottom. So I've struggled with that, to find the right soil mix and the right setup to have the cell itself be fully filled, because there were times where we put it in, seated on top, and then it compacted and fell all the way to the bottom, showing itself that it only had half the soil in there. It was just really annoying. So this is kind of my setup on how I've worked around that, working with the tray itself and kind of adapting into the soil mixture and how I put it in. So I take my soil mix, which is just pretty much peat moss and half peat moss, half compost, and I get it moist to a point where it's not dripping with water, but some does come out when you do squeeze it. So now it's compact. So I put it into a tub. You can buy that from Home Depot for like concrete and that. And all I am is just kind of throwing the dirt on top. I'm not pushing it in because I don't want to compact the soil. I'm more so going laterally, so it just kind of falls in to the tray. But doing this way also still suffers from the same issue if you put in the dry. You don't know if anything below it or the rest of the cell is filled, especially on the ends. So if I were to now look at the tray itself, it looks like a filled tray. But if I were to flip it over, a lot of these cells are not, on the bottom, are not fully filled. So what I do now after this is I have a little piece of scrap wood and I just throw it on the bottom. So now it compacts everything. Not a strong compact, but just good enough to push it to the bottom. And so now you can see that the cells were about 75% filled and I have about 25% left to go. So the board itself kind of is the solid ground to it. The dirt and the soil doesn't really work so well, so I found that the wood works much better. And I just put the dirt back. And so I just do another round of it to fill the rest of the cells. Again, not pushing down, just going laterally. So now all the cells are filled, but in between the cells, see some of them still have all that dirt in it, and I want that dirt, so I just do it once more, throw it on the bottom, get the excess dirt back. That's not dirt from the cell, it's the dirt from the spacing in between the cells. And so now the cells are all the way to the brim, everything's good. So now you have a cell, or sometimes just the outer ones don't fill as nicely, but you have everything filled. And if you do transplanting, this is a 50 cell, you would then have to put 50 holes by yourself to get your seeds into there. And I've showed a video on this before, so this is just a woodworking hack specific to Winstrip and specific to the 50 cell. that I'm going to put this on top. That's going to do my indentations. And now my tray is set, it's moist, the cells are fully filled, and now the hole is there ready for the seed to go in. And then I just put peat moss on top of it, and then you're good to go. So that is my workaround for working with putting soil inside Winstrip trays. I get it moist, clog it up, then compact it with a piece of wood, and then just keep filling it to the top and put the indentations in, then you're good. It's maybe a little bit more laborious because there's multiple steps instead of just throwing dry dirt into there. But I found that the soil block itself is quite nice. It's easy to transplant. The root systems work very well in it, and as long as the weather is in your favor for germination and that they don't sit in there for a long time, it sets up for success. So that's how I do it, and happy to hear what other people are doing.